Boogie, drop that beat.
Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Talking Out Loud with Miss Talkative. Everything I say is my own opinion, alleged, and strictly entertainment purposes. Remember, I'm just talking out loud. Please like, share, subscribe, comment on the video, let me know what you think. When Melody Cherie Rogers stated that this was the year of revelation, she was not lying. The last person named that I thought I would be hearing in a scam of some sort is Shirley Strawberry from the Steve Harvey Morning Show. Now, I know that she did not do it. She didn't commit a crime, but she probably took a blind eye. And I'm not accusing her of anything, but if she is alluding to her husband being able to go and stay at her boss's house, which tells me that she is either taking a blind eye or she is, I don't want to say she's part of it, but I'm going to say that she's willing to go the extra mile for him to cover it up to save her husband. Because why would she be trying to send him to Abu Dhabi and knowing what all he's being charged with? And I don't know if she has been making the moves to distance herself from him, but if anytime the judge says that your husband can't be around your child, grandkids, and all these other people, what you sitting there for?
A number of fraud charges.
Fox 5's Denise Dillon talked to Roswell police about the pair's extensive business scheme and why they believe there are more victims.
Police say for years these two would convince people to give them money, and in return they would help them with their business or personal goals. But investigators say it was nothing but a scam.
I would consider them fraudsters.
Roswell police say for years Ernesto Williams and Erica King passed themselves off as experts in various fields.
And they would align themselves with their victims with promises of being able to grow their brands, their missions, their life goals, their social media followings.
Detectives say Williams and King acted the part, and people paid good money for their services, but walked away with nothing. Police say it was all a scam.
More than a dozen victims and over $1 million in monetary and property loss.
Police say their investigation first started at this home on Pine Grove Road months ago. Investigators say after Williams and King hadn't paid rent for a while, detectives started looking into their financial transactions, and it led them to their extensive scheme. Police say they were convincing.
Individuals who have been doing this for a significant period of time and are proficient enough that they can make people comfortable and act against their better judgment.
Williams and King are now in jail, both facing multiple charges of fraud, forgery, and theft. Police warn if you want to grow your business, make sure you work with a legitimate company.
Try and go with very reputable businesses if you're trying to grow your brand, grow your business, so that you don't end up a victim.
Of those 12 fooled, some were here in Roswell, others across metro Atlanta, and even a couple out of state. And police believe there are many other victims. If you have had any dealings with King or Williams, call police. In Roswell, Denise Dillon.
Wow. Now that was featured on Atlanta 5 News back on October 25th of 2022. So, and when he was in court on biodiversity law, it stated that his charges, his felonies and convictions go all the way back to the 80s. I'm like, wow, Shirley, who did you marry?
So we'll count out the days that'll be put in place on the 91st day. All right?
Very well. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, Ernest Williams. Don't let that lady back in. Ernest Williams, wave your hand.
I heard you, Judge.
All right, here we go. It's position. It's those four cases, I think, for Mr. Williams. Position 2 is 22 CP 210-500, 355 days without indictment. There's a $15,000 bond as of 10/31/22 for theft by deception. Let's see, 22 CP 211078, Ernest Williams, 355 days without indictment. $75,000 good bond as of December the 31st, 2022, with 3 counts of conspiracy to commit a felony. Position 4 is 22 CP 212559, 355 days without indictment with 5 counts of conspiracy to commit a felony. And there is a $20,000 split bond as of 10/17/2022. Position 5, 355 days without indictment, 23 CP 215407. I'm assuming you want me to waive, Mr. Lewis?
Sure.
All right. I can say it if you want me to, or do you want me to waive?
I don't think Ms. Williams cares. Well, yeah, wait, Judge.
All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 other felonies on there that have to do with nudity, let's say. No bond as of January the 13th, 2023.
So in regards to Mr. Williams, still other open cases, 22 SC 18443, theft by taking, theft by deception. 22 SC 184-402, theft of services, deposit account fraud. Both of those are assigned to Judge Edwards. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Lewis.
All right, Judge. You mentioned all the days on Mr. Williams. I don't find it to be a good use of anybody's time to go back through all of that. I believe Mr. Williams, my client, is now 59 years old. When this case first began, he was 58 years of age. Judge, he was born in Augusta, Georgia. He has lived in the Atlanta area since 1994. From 2015 to 2019, he lived in California. He got married in 2015, Judge. He is the father of 6 kids and 4 grandchildren, some of them in the state of Georgia. His oldest granddaughter is a student at Georgia State University. Judge, he has owned grooming parlors, some barbershops,
I really don't
both in
representing
Peachtree and Far Road, as well as in Sandy Springs. He sold some businesses, some land to the city of Atlanta in 2016 from those first sets of business. In 2021, he opened a new location, Ernesto's Grooming, which tears down from the old location. That business has been dissolved partially because of what is going on today with him sitting in. So in other words, he's losing money from his businesses from being in here. And that has been testified also to by one of the law enforcement officers from Roswell. He had owned an unarmed security service, Nesto's Elite Security Company.
Now I had to pause it there. How you a fraud and a thief and you own a security company? Wow. Talk about being a fraud for real. You gonna protect the people that you stealing from?
Where he had a number of 1099 persons working for him. Judge, my client has a number of felonies in his past. Those felonies go all the way back to the 80s. He's got a couple. He's got one in 2008, which looks like it is a merger, meaning when they're doing the sentence on one, they're doing the sentence on the other. And there is a deal, and my client decides to take the deal. his wife resides in Buckhead, and you will see, and I think that is the Buckhead community. She doesn't say Buckhead on her affidavit, but she does reside in Fulton County and in Buckhead. Judge, his history, there's nothing in the last 10 years. He's never been in one of these cases accused him of attempting to pass somebody off as a lawyer. His co-defendant in that case has a consent signature bond that has been signed off on. I believe Mr. Majeski can tell you more about that when he's to it. He has never himself been involved or accused or convicted of anything that involves a person passing themselves off as a lawyer or impersonating anybody ever in life. This last case that came about involves, if my understanding is correct, and I don't know because I haven't received discovery on it since it hasn't been indicted, a single photograph that was found on a computer that the prosecution, well, not even the prosecution at this point, I guess it's still the police because it's not indicted or accused, claim was my client's and that he was in possession of either the computer or the photograph that's on there. My client has never been accused of anything involving nudity or anything else with children. He has been convicted of things like armed robbery in his past, and that occurred in Cobb County. I believe he was sentenced to 5 years back then on that. Bank fraud when he came to pick up a check that they said was cleared, and he was arrested on the scene. That's his federal.
Wait a minute. He got arrested for picking up a check that he allowed somebody to tell him that it was cleared. Apparently the check hadn't cleared. Come on now. Lawyer, you really reaching, aren't you?
Okay. So that's the kind of stuff my client has been convicted of in his past. And so far, nothing else has happened on these cases. The oldest you've quoted the dates on, the youngest you've quoted the dates on, all of those dates are beyond the 90 days, some of them beyond 180 days. So what I'm asking for, Judge, is on every last one of these cases, if and where you can, that you enter in a unsecured judicial release that mirrors his co-defendant on one case that she has with him that was consented to, and on another case where there's 14 counts where she engages or is alleged to have engaged in similar behavior as to what she is accused of in this case.
Wow. His defendant, whatever, she has 14 charges as well. Goodness, what are y'all up to?
All the rest of them, Judge, I'm asking for a UJR, but in no instance of an amount of a bond greater than $5,000 per count.
You have got
on one of the bonds, I believe that you signed, Judge, you tell him he can't be with his wife. I'm going to ask that you.
Is that Melody Scretchen?
No, it's the other lady, the SS lady.
Oh, Strawberry.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, let him be with his wife.
So the judge is busting him left and right. He then called out the girlfriend instead of his wife, Shirley Strawberry. Wow. I wonder how Shirley felt when she heard that. I know she is just probably taking it to the gut.
Before we end up having a divorce matter in Fulton County. Judge, also, you tell him he can't reside. I have an affidavit. His wife is a person of some public notoriety. She's given me the affidavit, Judge. I did not file it in because if it's filed, she likes to kind of remain private where she can and when she can. And so she asked that you take the necessary measures. If you want that filed in the court, we can do that. We can publish it directly to you right now, so that her address doesn't become common knowledge for her public. Although she loves her public to death, she wants some privacy occasionally as well. And so that's what we're asking for, Judge. I believe that's the sum total of it. I'm sorry. There are two other matters that my client has in his history that I've been told of, but I haven't been provided with anything on. I understand that he has a warrant for a misdemeanor case out of Henry County that's still awaiting. And I've been told that there's a matter in California that the California doesn't want to extradite. I can't provide you. I wish I could give you more on that, but I can't. I don't have it. All right. So that's my request.
Dang, this man all the way out in California committing fraud and felonies. That's a doggone shame.
Thank you for hearing me.
All right. Ms. Patton?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on. This will be Kevin Majeski for the state judge, and this will also be ADA Lisa Taylor. I wish I could be quick on this one, Judge. This is an extremely dangerous person we're dealing with here, and there's going to be numerous upcoming warrants coming in this case. I believe Roswell told us today when we checked for an update, before the 13th, there's going to be about 15 plus more warrants coming his direction, serious felonies in there, for sure. The reason it was the 13th was so particular is because the last time that these...
they called this man dangerous. Wow.
Particular cases were heard was in the month of January by Judge Belinda Edwards. She actually heard all the CP cases, and she also heard all the SC cases. Then she entered a ruling on one of the SC cases on the record, and for whatever reason, didn't put anything else on the record for the other ones. But Mr. Lewis and I had about, I think it was a 2.5 hour bond motion on that particular one that day. This will be considerably shorter. Yes. But Judge Edwards heard them back then. And if you note the bond order that she did file in, I believe was on 22 SC 184403, she denied bond in that case and left the no bond in 22 SC 184402, noting that he was an extreme likelihood to commit additional felonies. Going back to his history, Judge, of course, as Mr. Lewis correctly stated, it starts in the 80s. He has a laundry list of crimes of moral turpitude that he's committed, multiple armed robberies. There was the one in Cobb, but he also committed another one in Douglas County as well. Got 10 years of custody for that, a short custody time in the first one, 10 years in the next one. Then, of course, false statements, multiple FTAs, probation violations, and the bank fraud, which he actually did get federal time for as well. So it was a little bit more complicated than it was held out to be today. He's an AMC recidivist. To address Mr. Lewis's statements that he made about the California cases, it's true, he does actually have 2 warrants for his arrest out of California. Those are, as Mr. Lewis said, non-extradition warrants that he has present in both those cases. And we have the reports and the warrants in those cases in our file. Both of those cases have to do with transporting stolen cars back here to Atlanta, actually, is what it says in both of those reports. One of them was out of LA County and one of them was out of Orange County, I believe. And then, of course, there is the case that the other county in Georgia has the hold on him for as well, Judge. When it comes down to these particular cases, I will note for the court that he does, I believe it's on case number 22 CP 212559. That case became kind of like an amalgamation of a few cases when it got entered in the clerk's office. I believe there's 3 charges on there that have no bond currently. We did address that in front of Judge Edwards, as Mr. Lewis could tell you as well, last time we were there, and I agreed with him. He was entitled to a bond then, still is now. And I had proposed, when Mr. Lewis and I had talked, a bond of $25,000 per on those particular charges. The reason I proposed that particular bond is because that particular bond mirrored what he had in the other case, which was $25,000 good as well. Judge, we consider this person to be a flight risk. We have jail calls where he's talking about going to see his girlfriend in Florida, multiple times, actually. We have a call where he was talking with his wife about going to stay in her boss's house. I'm going to leave out all the names here, as Mr. Lewis did as well, about her boss's house in Abu Dhabi, which is, of course, quite far away from here, quite far removed from any court's jurisdiction here. And just the general scheme that's been going on here, Judge, when we were last in front of Judge Edwards, she put us on the clock, said, you guys got to get this done. You guys got to get this investigation done. We've been working with Roswell off and on, talking to them to see where their investigation is. It's on schedule. It will be done by the 13th. He'll be served with, like I said, 15 plus new warrants, some of which are very serious, that this court, just to put it out there, that this court may not even be able to consider, unfortunately. It would have to be considered by a sitting elected Superior Court judge. And for that reason, I would have to recommend the $25,000 per on the 22 CP 212559. I believe that the other ADA Taylor, has something to say about 23 CP 215407 and the state's recommendation for bond in that particular matter, Judge.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Taylor.
Good evening, Your Honor. Yes, as Mr. Majeski has stated, he is considered dangerous. There are several pending warrants that will be coming out that, based on their content alone, there's a great likelihood that he's someone who will commit further felonies. Furthermore, without mentioning the facts of the case in front of us, children were involved. The state is requesting a bond, knowing that he has to have a bond because it's been well over 200 days, a bond of $200,000 per count, giving us a grand total of $800,000 bond for the case involving the exploitation. There are 4 separate counts there. As standard, I would also request that there be an ankle monitor placed on Mr. Williams, as well as that he surrender his passport, not leave Fulton County, have no internet access at all, and no contact with any minors or animals. But again, he's met all the Ayala factors. He's a flight risk, as evidenced by phone calls that we've heard.
Okay. All right.
Judge, just one more thing. If the court is inclined to grant a bond on this, which would see him released, the state does have a number of people we would be requesting no contact with as well.
All right.
Wow. I just went on ahead and cut that off, but this man has a laundry list of felonies. He can't be around certain people. He can't be around animals, no internet, no kids. This man, what in the world is wrong with people? Shirley, this is who you married? Steve, this is who you introduced your friend? And I don't understand. I do not understand. But my thing is, Shirley, you heard them say that he's spoken with his girlfriend, talking about going to visit his girlfriend in Florida on several occasions. So instead of you trying to get him to Abu Dhabi, to Steve Harvey's house, in my opinion, allegedly, you better tell him call your girlfriend in Florida. I would just hang it up. I'm sorry, because I don't think he coming up out of this unless y'all finna put some Steve Harvey money down. And I don't know if Marjorie Harvey gonna allow Steve to fork over the money that's needed to get this man out of these charges. So I don't understand. I don't know, y'all. Do y'all think Steve finna put up the money for the lawyer needed to get these charges reduced, get this man off the hook for these charges? Let me know. I'm just talking out loud, stating my opinion. Please like, share, subscribe, comment on the video. Let me know what you think.